Luxury travel is no longer confined to high-end resorts and first-class cruises. Many retirees are opting for alternative styles that provide flexibility, cultural engagement, and meaningful experiences. Slow travel allows for extended stays in a single location, giving travelers the opportunity to build connections with local communities and adopt a more relaxed pace. Renting accommodations for weeks or months fosters a deeper understanding of the surroundings while supporting sustainable tourism. Home swapping offers an affordable and immersive way to experience a destination from a resident's perspective. Platforms dedicated to home exchanges provide a secure framework for retirees to stay in comfortable settings while reducing travel expenses. Immersive experiences take travel a step further, incorporating activities like volunteering, cultural workshops, and hands-on learning. These experiences create lasting connections and opportunities for personal growth. By embracing these alternative approaches, retirees can enjoy travel on their own terms, creating experiences that go beyond conventional luxury.
Tim, I've heard you talk about currency as like a motivating factor or an important thing to pay attention to. Our dollar is pretty strong. Give us some advice. Like, where are places that we can go to make our dollar stretch? Or how do we think differently from a more traditional, I'm going to a resort vacation?
Yeah, I always tell people, if you want to spend less on your vacation, find out where the deals are and then decide where you're going to go instead of trying to do it the other way around. Like if your heart's set on Italy in July, you're going to spend a lot of money no matter what. But if you could pay attention to where the deals are and where those currencies, have gotten out of whack or just are better than they have been historically, you can, just get a lot more for your money. And a few great examples this year. One is Japan. It used to be crazy expensive to go there. Now it's about 50% less than it used to be. So if that was high on your list, this is the time to go. Don't keep waiting because it's not going to last forever. Another one is Brazil. There have been times not that long ago when it was the most expensive country in the Americas. Like it was like going to New York City to go to Rio. But now, because of their currency declining, it's quite the bargain right now. And so there are things like that. And where we are in Mexico, two of these boxes, we're in Mexico right now, it's 20 to the dollar. And just a year ago, it was 17 to the dollar. And so you get a lot more for your money when you're getting 20 pesos instead of 17. So if you pay attention to those kind of things, it can make a big difference in your travels. And right now, Europe is quite reasonable. It's almost at par. It's, I think, 97 cents to the dollar or something like that. So, it's not always the case. If you'd gone there 5 years ago, you might have spent a whole lot more to go to a cheap country like Bulgaria or an expensive one like Italy. So, I'm not saying you got to be poring over the financial news constantly to watch what's going on. You'll generally hear about these things over time, but currency fluctuations do make a massive difference, and the dollar's not always strong. So when it is, take advantage of it.
Oh boy, I think my next trip is for Italy, planning for Italy. I don't know.
Just don't go in the summer. That's all.
I'm not retired yet. I'm still attached to a school schedule. I will likely be there in June.
Sorry.
I have to go visit a friend. That's that'll be my secret. Crash at a friend's place. Phil and Jeanne, what advice would you give to people considering a nomadic or slow travel lifestyle?
Go for it. That's what I would say. I mean, you can sit around and think and think and think and plan and plan and plan, but we're not getting any younger, and we just kind of decided now's the time. So we do things as cheaply as, well, we have set a budget for ourselves and we stay within our budget. The longer we stay someplace, the more inexpensive it is. What would you add to that?
I would add that if you are willing to part with your house, you'd be shocked at how much money you are pouring into your house. Between fertilizer, between plants, decorating your house. The minute you get rid of your house, all of a sudden you have, I keep a car in the States, but we don't rent cars. Typically we stay in places where we're walking, 5-6 miles a day because we want to.
We're taking public transportation.
Yeah. There's so many hidden costs to a house.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you add what you spent on your mortgage, your property taxes, and your car, that's enough to live on almost anywhere in the world.
Yeah. And we had a paid for house for many years, and we're still living. Our monthly budget is still less traveling the world than living in Bowling Green, Ohio in a paid for house.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Phil, you said that you were a little torn selling the house, but then when you
was.
actually sold the house, was it liberating?
Well, not at first. There's a funny part of this story is that I was refusing to leave the house. This is a funny thing. So I stayed there to the last second before the people moved in. All the stuff was gone. The only thing was left in the bedroom was a mattress, and I stayed there. That's how hard it was for me to leave, right? So
He stayed there for a week before the people moved in.
So I'm still there. But then the crazy thing was, as I said, it took me about a month. And then once we got on the road, this life is so exciting, right? Everything is new every day. We don't know who we're going to meet. We don't know what new ideas are going to be confronted by. We just know that every day is new. And in my old life, as much as I enjoyed it, things got a bit routine.
Doug, a lot of people, I think, tend to stick to familiar destinations. What would you say to encourage people to step beyond a typical luxury vacation experience?
Well, it's the phenomenon we call it living like a 2-week millionaire. You're in a resort, you're paying a tremendous amount of money that you would not be able to sustainably spend anywhere else in the world for 6 months, let alone for 2 weeks. You're eating the resort's food, it's marked up, you're doing the resort's activities, you've got all the money and everything designed around you to keep you at the resort. That works out great if you're going to a water park with 3 or 4 kids in your family, but when you're able to do this as empty nesters or with older kids, you want to get out and explore. And that's the best part of being able to do this for longer terms and a more sustainable manner. For us, the 2 biggest expenses of slow travel are the airfare. So the less you fly, get there an airplane once, stay there for 6 weeks or a couple of months and travel around locally, and lodging. If you're staying somewhere for a month instead of for a week, as everybody's already mentioned, the cost per day really drops off after the first month, the second month. If you can negotiate a rent for 3 or 4 months in one place, you're going to spend a lot less, maybe even less total than you would to spend for a resort trip for 2 weeks. So we, again, find that going somewhere, negotiating longer stays, getting to know the area better works very well. As to where you want to go, the information is out there on the internet. And I would say, go look at a website like The Earth Awaits. It's tied into a bunch of databases of places where you can explore all the facets of living in that area. Not that you're going to go relocate there for 5 years, but just to figure out what's important to you. Do you want to travel in a foreign language? Do you want to travel somewhere in the United States and see all the national parks? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And doing that research to figure out where you want to go will help you figure out if you want to go there and what you want to do. So the best resource you have right now is having bandwidth at home on the internet to do the research. And little by little, you'll find yourself taking those steps and getting out there. Again, military families, they've been all over America and many of them have been all over the world. They've also been accustomed to living a very frugal lifestyle, maybe even slopping over into deprivation when you're deployed or when you've had difficulties. Once you are out of the military, whether you're retired or a veteran, you've got that lifestyle you used to know where you knew what your baseline was. And after that, everything is just exploring the world at your pace, on your schedule, and with more money.
Tim, you maintain several different websites. Can you share some of yours as resources?
Yeah, it's funny. One of them I use a pen name for because it's a luxury site, and I don't normally write about luxury that much on my other sites, but that one's Luxury Latin America, and it's all about high-end travel in the Americas. And then I'm at the other end, for cheap travel, and I have one that's all narrative stories from book authors. But what I think is interesting, what Doug just talked about is, you know, a luxury experience is very different than a luxury resort. And I think some people, yeah, they only got 5 days. They want to go away for a long weekend and they want to get pampered, and they're not going to leave the resort, and then they're going to come back home, and they just are kind of doing that to unwind. But if you're traveling for somewhere for 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 12, then, you know, you can still live a rather luxurious lifestyle. You can stay in a really nice Airbnb, or you can do a home exchange, or, you know, something like that. You can cash in hotel points now and then if you want. There's, you know, ways to live it up now and then if you want to. But I think just having that freedom in your life is also a luxury. And it's kind of funny that now when you look at luxury resort sites, they're talking a lot about immersive experiences. They're trying to set up these things where you go to a village and you see the people making the handicrafts, or you go into a hidden gem town that, you know, there's not a lot of tourists. And all these are all the kind of things that us independent travelers do anyway, you know, when we're out there. But now they're realizing that just having a bath butler and room service is maybe not enough.
Yeah, immersive experience or ecotourism. Although I guess depending on whether you do it yourself or through the luxury resort, there could be a big price difference.
Yes,
for sure.
When you guys do travel, to what extent are you searching for free activities and events and trying to balance that with, you know, activities that you're willing to pay for?
there's so much history out there, and so much of it is so affordable to learn more about. You know, if you go to a town in Europe, there's going to be a cathedral, there's going to be a museum, there's going to be a public park, and there's going to be a walking tour that talks about all the sites right there. If you could spend maybe $50 a couple, that's a tremendous amount of money to get that several days of going around and learning about things other than the culture you grew up with. Going out and doing a guided tour is wonderful if you're in a strange place and you have a limited amount of time, and maybe you're not really ready to explore on your own yet. Doing one of those can help you get your feet on the ground and get oriented and decide what you want to do next. I see a lot of people who take bargain cruises to go somewhere in the Mediterranean or somewhere in Latin America and visit a port every day or two to figure out where you really want to spend your time later on.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
Yeah, I would say that we are very active, Jeannie and I, and so we like to bike and we like to hike, and there's a lot of amazing parks that really cost you nothing, right? If you're the kind of person that loves to be active and just want to be outside, and doesn't even almost matter where you are, you're at the beach, wherever you are, it doesn't cost that much to be at the beach, right? Once you're there. And so when you're there long term, and I agree with these guys, they're saying, you know, once you're there long term and you sort of get past that first week of I'm a tourist, and you start to settle in, next thing you know, you're playing pickleball, you're joining the gym at a reduced fee, and you're just having kind of a regular life, and it's really amazing.
And we try to find places where there's like a mixture too. Like there's some of the active things we like to do, some of the cultural things, some things that we know we're going to pay for, some things that we know will be free and is an interesting place to even wander. Because that's really one of our favorite things to do, is just to wander.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And I agree that it's great to take a walking tour when you get to a place to just kind of get your bearings and figure out, you know, what the neighborhoods are like and what the history is. But yeah, wandering on your own is fun, but it is worth paying for some things. I mean, I spent 2 months in Europe at the end of last year, and it's going to cost you some money to go to, you know, the greatest hits of travel in those places. And there's kind of no way around it, you know. But if you're here in Mexico, in central Mexico, most of the museums are 30 pesos, which is $1.50, you know. And if you go to the Anthropology Museum in Mexico City, I think it's $5 or so. So it's one of the greatest museums in the world, and it's such a bargain. So you kind of be crazy not to, you know, if you're in a place where it's that inexpensive. So I think you kind of have to budget a little harder if you're in a really popular place. But if it's a lesser known place, you can probably see it all if you want, and you're there long enough.
Right. That's the perfect segue. We're going to go to segment 3. We're going to talk about budgeting and financial planning.
Okay.